Hey there, everyone. This is a different type of video. I've seen a lot of these more commentary, old school based videos going around, and I just wanted to talk about something that's been going on in my life, and I wanted to speak from the heart on this. So there's no script, there's nothing. I'm actually just sitting in front of my home screen right now, looking at my good-looking trend pumped Sea of Thieves character. And I wanted to talk about this specific subject of confidence. So I was always the smaller kid. I was always smaller, always skinnier. I always was more the person that got along with everybody, but it took me years to kind of realize that the only reason I got along with everybody was because I didn't have confidence. I was, for the most part, a good amount of people's punching bags, and I always kind of just took it. I wouldn't really fight back because I was always told when I was younger that people have things going on behind closed doors that you might not even think could be happening. Like you wouldn't even think would be possible when you met these people. So I took a lot of it for probably the first 10, 12 years of my life. I just had buddies that had, stuff going on, and I was kind of their little therapy punching bag, you know. And although a lot of them were thankful that I was kind of there, a lot of them weren't, you know. And friendships are one of those things that I feel they die out, sort of like a flower. You can only water it so much and take care of it so much until it evidently just dies out, you know? And so fast forward a couple years. Right now I'm a senior in high school, and a lot of things have happened recently in my life that were pretty big. Um, Not that they're bad. Nothing bad has like happened. I'm not dying or anything. But one of the things that happened was I didn't get along with my baseball coach. I've been playing baseball for a good amount of years now. I'm not great by any means. I kind of just go and do my thing, but I love the sport, so I was happy about that. And this all started my freshman year, where I went out for the team, and there weren't enough kids at my high school to play for multiple teams. Recently, at that time, the old head coach was requested to leave after um, demanding more money for the program and being refused. And so he went to a different school where, by the way, their program is probably one of the greatest I've ever seen. Um, Props to that guy. But they decided to pick out a new guy, you know, and this new coach was a lot stricter, a lot more of a jerk, a bully in a sense, like somebody who probably has never actually been in like a leadership coaching role before and has always just been the person on the sidelines and doesn't know what to do to motivate people. And a big thing for me, and I think for most athletic people out there or people who play sports, is that you want somebody that not only respects you, but also respects your effort. Somebody could be hot garbage, but trying 10 times harder than all the other kids around. And although they might never see a moment of playing time, at least appreciate that they're trying. Again, you don't have to put them in. They don't have to actually play. They don't have to start, but at least acknowledge that they're trying. And so a big thing for me was my freshman year, I was probably 110 pounds. Maybe even less. I might have been 95 pounds. And which is crazy when I think about that now, but I was probably, yeah, like 95, 110 pounds, and because there weren't enough kids on the baseball team or trying out for baseball, just about every freshman made it to varsity, which is, by the way, just completely batshit crazy. There weren't many kids there. I remember there were three seniors, three juniors, and like 12 freshmen. So most of them left when that new coach came in because they weren't fans of him, which I would soon later understand why. And so the season was kind of difficult because a lot of kids were bigger than me. So I tried to put my time in. I tried to do whatever, but again, I'm not asking for pity or whatever. I was kind of a bitch my freshman year. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I think everybody looks back on their freshman year and was like, God, who was I? Like it's hard to even consider the fact that you act so much different now than you did 2 or 3 years ago. It's crazy. So I never saw playing time, but I put a lot of effort in. I did. And so again, not trying to sound like a bitch, not trying to whine, but it was the truth. I put in a lot of effort, never saw playing time. The coach did not respect me. He did not really care. He was mean to everybody. He really was the coach that seemed like he was put in that position and not that he picked to be in the position, which is crazy because he volunteered to coach. Like, he made an effort to want to coach, and yet he treated everybody like they were a chore. And so I put up with that for probably 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year, and I hated it. I hated baseball more than I ever did. And, I started working out a lot more. I started getting bigger. I started gaining weight. And I started maturing. And I think that was the biggest part of it. I started maturing, and I realized, this baseball isn't my entire life. After my sophomore year, I changed my mentality. I said, fuck this guy. And I'm sorry for my French, but I did. I said, fuck this guy. If he's gonna be a dick, I don't want to be around it. So my junior year, I did my usual thing. And at my school, you have to do sports, by the way. It's like a mandatory thing. And so I did weightlifting during the winter or whatever. I actually gained like 20 pounds. I did a lot better. I was probably at that point 160, maybe a little less, 155, but I was way stronger. And by the end of that winter season, getting into January, I had probably hit 165, could do basic things in the gym, to a certain point. And this one day I met this guy, and I'm not going to say his name, but I met this guy, and I was signing in. You have to sign in and out of the gym when you go. And I met this guy, and he looked at me, and I kind of looked at him. I said hi to him every day. He was a nice guy. And the one time I walked away, I was doing my workout, and he came over to me, and I remember, too, I was doing deadlifts. And he came over to me, and he goes, how would you like to wrestle? I kind of looked at him. I was like, what? He was like, what's your weight? I told him it was 165. He goes, we need another one. We need another 165er. And I was like, okay. And so I talked with that guy for a couple days, and he was showing me wrestling. He was just kind of showing me videos, and we were talking to him. And after a few days, the winter season was coming to an end, and I had to make a decision whether I was going to go and suffer in baseball again, or whether there was another option. And for me, that other option was wrestling. So I looked at the guy one day, and I told him, I'm in. That dude was so happy. It honestly woke me up. The feeling of being appreciated, making somebody else happy. That was a great feeling. And so I wrestled during the entire spring, and I absolutely loved it. It was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I met some of my greatest friends there that I still talk to this day, even though they don't go to my school anymore. I still talk to them damn near every day. We had great memories. We basically wrestled through the summer too. And the thing that helped me a lot was that coach. That coach was really there for me, and he helped me kind of fill out my frame more. He helped me gain that confidence. Because if there's one thing I would recommend to people, it's to learn how to fight. Learn how to defend yourself in some way, shape, or form. Whether you're doing judo or Muay Thai or wrestling or boxing or whatever. Just learn how to use your body in a better stance and being able to throw something or kick something. It's a big thing. And so by the end of wrestling, I had absolutely loved it. It was the best time I had at high school. The coach was nice. It was so great. It was to the point where I was staying there even longer after practices. Whereas in baseball, I was trying to get out of there as soon as I could. And it was a really eye-opening and refreshing feeling. The other thing that helped too was my best friend was also in it, and me and him were just motivating each other back and forth. You know, we would go after school, we would work out for an hour, and then we would go and wrestle for 2.5 hours afterward. And then not only that, but we had to go home after that and do 3 hours of homework. And we would wake up, go to school, do the same thing. And we would do that 5 to 6 times a week, maybe even 7. And it was great. And so there are times where I look back now and I really wish I did it during the winter as well. I wish that guy came up to me earlier, but at the same time, I feel like there was a reason I did it during the spring rather than do it during the winter. I maybe there was some sort of fate there. And so going into this year, my senior year, I was like, you know what? I'm doing wrestling. I'm going to make people proud. I'm going to show people that I can defend myself. And so I came in the senior year with a hell of a lot more confidence than I have in my life. I actually probably ended junior year with the most confident I had ever been as myself. But the issue that came with that confidence is seeing the truth of why people want to be around you. Like I've said earlier, I was always the person that people would use as their punching bag, and I would never take it personally, but I would, they would just use me as a therapy of sorts, because again, I was always told, just to help people because you never know what's happening. And so for the first time in my life, I had my own things to worry about. I was caring about myself more than others. And I know that sounds selfish, but I started saying no to a lot of other people. I started being more honest with people. I started taking less shit from people. And the issue that had was a lot of people don't like that. There are the people that care about you and you care about them, and then there are the people that only want you to care about them. And that was a hard lesson for me, because going into my senior year with all this confidence was hard, because a lot of people didn't like that I had confidence, that I was willing to be honest with them. I was willing to tell them if something was their fault, rather than them look at me and me just reassure them, oh, it's not your fault. I was a lot more prone to saying, yeah, that is your fault. What's wrong with you? I was a lot more prone to telling the full truth rather than the truth they wanted to hear. And that was a hard change, because the more I did that, the more I realized who my real friends were. Because the friends that cared about me and cared about the truth were the ones that stuck by me. And the ones that were only there to hear what they wanted to and to be reassured left. And again, I'm sorry if the way I'm saying this sounds like an asshole. I'm not trying to be by any means. But it's just the truth. People are dicks. And that goes for just about every human. Every human is a dick in some sort of way. And so the real battle is trying to find the people that are a little less of a dick than the others. And so I went into this senior year ready to wrestle, and I was told that my coach was not going to be coming back this year. I was absolutely ruined. But not only that, but 2 of my best friends were not coming back this year either. That hurt me too. Because the 2 people that motivated me to be a better version of myself were no longer going to be there to help me. And so I had to stand alone and figure out who I was and how I can improve. And so that was a big challenge. So far, senior year's been going fine. I've ended up not wrestling due to external commitments through college processes and exploring outside opportunities and, stuff like that. But something else did happen this year. The old baseball coach that I didn't get along with, he said he was going to focus more on the basketball side of things because he had more experience in basketball. And when I heard that, it was kind of like, whoa. It was an eye-opening experience because it was almost like God, and I don't mean to get religious, but it's almost like either God or some outside element just opened a door back into something that I've loved. And the saying always goes, if you love something, then let it go. And if it comes back, it's meant to be. That's how I felt about baseball. And so I signed up for baseball this year. I'm still honest with people, but I try and be a little more calm, a little more tame about it. I'm not as ruthless as I was at a point. If wrestling taught me anything, it's taught me that if you put your mind to it, that you can really do anything. And so I've been working out again because it's, as of today, it's February 13th, 2024. And I've been working out for the last couple months. I've recently hit 180 pounds. I squat, 3 plates, probably less because I got janky knees. But I bench 185 for 2 reps. And again, it's not good. I have a weak chest. I will be honest there. But all of those gym statistics aside, I've been filling out my body more, and I have become a much better version of myself than I ever would have thought. And I look back on some of my old videos, some of my old personal things in my life, and it's a really interesting thing to look back and see how much you've changed. And a lot of the changing is physical just as much as it is mental, but there still is a factor of me, a part of me that looks back and goes, I miss that kid. I've always been a part of the generation that survives off of nostalgia. They just wish they could go back to a simpler time. But the older I get and the more of the real world I see, I realize that maybe going back, maybe wanting to go back, wishing to go back isn't all that it seems to be. I would love to go back to when I was 5 or to when I was 10 because things were simpler. But I wouldn't want to lose the mentality and the growth that I've worked so hard to accomplish in myself. And it's a hard thing to understand. It's a hard idea, especially because when I look back at those old videos, I see the shyness. I can read the fear and the confusion off of my mannerisms and the way I spoke. There was somebody who was being shelled by themselves, to be honest. I was probably my own worst enemy at that point. And so if there's anything that I could recommend to any upcoming teenagers, adults, even like 5-year-old kids that are just trying to, get that stuff done early, trying to improve themselves, it would be to understand who you are and understand who you want to be around. Because at the end of the day, the people that pushed me in wrestling are the people that I'm probably going to still be talking to 30 years from now while I'm in a retirement home in my rocking chair talking about the good old days. And the people that I didn't wrestle with and the people that didn't care about me and only wanted me to help them are the people that aren't going to be in my life much longer. So confidence is just one of those weird things. And again, this video isn't for pity. This was just a new type of video. I thought I'd try. I might delete it. I might not. It matters on how many people this reaches and how many people get some sort of assistance or help or motivation or, positive enlightenment. But I hope everyone at some point in their lives find that confidence. So remember to stay green, tune in to the next stream, and I'm out.